What could be better in the fall than a hearty mushroom dish? In today's video, I've got the ideal mushroom recipe. It's a porcini mushroom and sausage ragu with pappardelle pasta. You don't want to miss it. Welcome to Actually Italian. I'm Sal, and the focus on this channel is to teach you some authentic recipes so you can cook like an Italian yourself. The long hot summer's over, and now I'm really looking forward to some fall flavors. This dish is a classic all over Italy. It's called pasta alla BOSCAIOLA. BOSCAIOLA means the woodsman's wife. This particular one that I'm making today is from the Tuscany, Emilia-Romagna region. Now, I'm lucky enough to live in Italy where I have access to fresh porcini mushrooms. If you're lucky enough to have some too, then that's what I recommend going with. They're very fragrant and a very intense mushroom flavor. Of course, you can use any mushrooms at all. Oyster mushrooms, even just white button mushrooms are fine. Now, if you do use white button mushrooms or something similar, you want to up the flavor. You want to get more intense mushroom flavor in there. The way to do that is to take some dried porcini, which everybody should have in their pantry. If you're going to be making good Italian food, this is a staple item. You just reconstitute it with a little bit of hot water for about 15 minutes before you cook. I'm going to use these today too, just because I want to add some more mushroom flavor. We're going to start the recipe by heating up a pan over a high heat and adding a little bit of olive oil. I've taken the sausage out of the casing and kind of broken it up, and I'm just going to add that to the pan right now. Right away, I'll add some chopped fresh onion. I'll give it a good stir and we'll let that cook. We want the sausage cooked through before we add the mushrooms. You can see the sausage is cooked through. It's just about to start browning. I'm going to add those reconstituted porcini first, and then I'll add the chopped mushrooms after. I want to give that a good mix, and I don't want to add any salt at this point yet. Salt will bring all the liquid out of the mushrooms and make like a stew. What I'm going for here is for those mushrooms to get caramelized, so that way they start to make a fond on the bottom of the pot. You can see that here. That's going to add a ton of flavor to this dish. When you see that fond develop on the bottom, that's when it's time to deglaze with some red wine. After a few minutes, the wine is going to evaporate and it's going to start getting a little dry in the pan. That means it's time to add the rest of the liquids. I'm going to take that porcini broth from when I reconstituted those dried porcini. I'm going to add most of it. I'm going to reserve just a little bit at the end because it's full of sand. Now I'll add some chicken stock and some passata, followed by a fresh sage leaf. Now, if you're wondering how much of everything I use, I have a link to the printable recipe below, so check out the description box for that. At this point, we're going to give everything a nice mix, and we're going to let this simmer away on a low heat for about 15 minutes. However, make sure that you're stirring regularly because this will start to stick to the bottom of the pan. After about 15 minutes, and we've cooked it down to the nice consistency that you see here, plus that rawness of the tomato passata got cooked out, we're ready to go. We can shut this off and set it aside waiting for the pasta. If you like mushrooms, you'll probably love a good Italian mushroom soup. I have a free downloadable cookbook with the top 10 Italian soups, and one of them is a really fantastic mushroom recipe. So check out the description box below for the link. I've got the water boiling and I'm ready for the pappardelle pasta. You can use any type of pasta you like, but I really recommend using pappardelle. It's the traditional pasta for this type of sauce, and it just works really well. I've got the pasta about a minute away from being al dente. This is the point where I want to take the cooking liquid and add some of it back to the pan with the ragu. So this kind of makes it a looser sauce. I've turned the heat back onto the sauce and I've drained the pasta. So now I'm going to finish cooking the pasta in the sauce. That's why we needed that little bit of liquid. Just want to give it a nice toss and get it all incorporated and let it finish cooking for that last minute, and then it'll be perfectly al dente. Once it's al dente, we shut the heat off, and now I'm going to add a little bit of butter to richen this whole thing up and give it a little bit of sweetness. Just want to toss it around to kind of emulsify into the sauce. At this point, you can add some grated cheese. Mushrooms are one of those ingredients that a lot of people insist are much better when you don't add any cheese. However, there are plenty of Italians that would add cheese to this, and really at the end of the day, it's up to you whether you want cheese in it or not. I feel like this sauce is luscious and rich enough that it really doesn't need anything else. So at this point, I'm just gonna plate it up. The earthiness of the mushrooms works so well with the umami that you get from the sausage. It's a great combination. Everything else is really working too. The intense fragrance of that dried porcini you can taste in every bite. There's a lingering sweetness from the tomatoes, and then the butter at the end really ties everything together, makes it silky smooth, and works great with this pasta because the texture, just you can't beat it.